Hello and welcome to the Glazier Nation Podcast. My guest this week is Tim Byrne from Stadia Industries. This podcast with Tim is one of a few I had the pleasure of doing in person at GlassBuild. And I'd really love to hear your feedback. How much more do you prefer these in-person podcasts over the virtual podcast? You can reach us on any of our socials. They're all at Glazier Nation Podcast. And by the way, if you don't follow any of those, please do. It helps a lot. But back to this podcast and Tim, we discussed how to build a brand for your business. And I pried some keys to success from Tim, drawing on his own experiences as a broke 19-year-old to now a successful business owner. I had a blast chatting with Tim, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. The Glazier Nation Podcast is brought to you by Glazier Nation. You can check out all their offerings at glazernation.com. And if you weren't at GlassBuild for the Glazier Nation Awards ceremony, I highly recommend you check out the website or the socials to see some of that content.
Okay, so installing in Canada in the cold, is that not brutal?
Yeah, no, fuck, it was terrible. It's you guys use Fahrenheit, we use Celsius, so I think your minus 32 and minus 32 Celsius match.
Okay.
Right, you're minus. So and minus 30's freezing for you guys here, right? That's our zero.
32 is freezing, not minus 32.
Right, 32
Yeah.
is freezing. So minus 32 Fahrenheit and minus 32 Celsius are the exact same.
Okay.
I'd go to job sites and
I'm just going to trust you on that.
I'd have pressure plate screws stuck to my hand. You pick them off because your hands be in your pocket. You know,
Right.
you wear the bricklayers cotton gloves, right?
Yeah.
Take them off, you grab a bunch of screws, and they'll be stuck. You'd be like this, and you had red dots over your hands.
So
Take the screws off.
I did some installing in Pennsylvania in the winter.
Yeah,
But it wasn't Canada cold because I've been skiing in Canada and I know that Canada cold is a different kind of
No,
cold.
you were in Quebec.
Yes.
Nah, La Belle Province. You're
Is that
freezing cold there?
Yeah, it was.
It's worse than Ontario.
You couldn't ski. It was too cold to ski.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. And Quebec is very, very cold.
Okay, so installing in the cold versus installing in somewhere like Florida in the summer, which one would you take? I would take Florida in the summer.
See, and I wouldn't.
Okay, you take
You can
Canada.
cook on the side of a building. You can cook an egg. You can cook bacon. You can sit with a frying pan. I would rather be in long johns and a Carhartt jacket and a toque, winter hat. It's okay. It's French.
Yes.
Wearing a toque so that I can strip down when it gets warm out. Because I mean, you're on the side of a reflective building with some Guardian glass or Viragon glass on it. It's getting hot. It's getting zero. It's getting to zero anyway. R0. It's getting to 32 degrees. I mean, if I was in Florida and you're melting at 100 degrees and 100% humidity.
Okay, how about you install in Canada in the summer and you install in Florida in the winter?
Probably Florida in the winter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you could alternate those
You
two.
could alternate those two for sure. I mean, Toronto's humidity. Toronto's hot. Summers are hot.
But it doesn't last for
2 months, 3
yeah.
months.
Florida summer lasts for 8 months.
Yeah,
Depending.
Right, all the time.
So you said something that was interesting to me that I've never heard a glazing contractor, and I know you do more than contract glazing, and we're going to get to that. But you said something to me that was super interesting. I asked you, we started the conversation with the push-up a day.
Right.
Because I saw you had a post about a push-up a day.
Sure. Every Monday morning I do that, right? I tell everybody
Just
to do a push-up.
Okay, did you do push-up today?
I did.
Okay, good.
I did, yeah.
I didn't.
I did.
But I did an hour and a half
3
workout.
o'clock in the morning.
One push-up.
Yeah, that's all I had time. Actually, I did 5. Okay. That's all I had time for.
Okay.
And my golden retrievers were licking my face, so I screwed it off.
So I saw this in a LinkedIn post, and I was kind of asking you, and you told me that you did some podcasting yourself, and then the LinkedIn post, and I said, well, why are you posting on LinkedIn? Because I don't see a lot of glazing contractors do that. And your answer was about your brand, and that was what was interesting to me because I've never heard a glazing contractor talk about their brand. And I know you do some service glass, so brand is a little different than a true glazing contractor. But why is brand, or why should brand be important to a glazing contractor?
So you have 2 business models that you're chasing. One is your operational revenue that you're literally trying to find work to keep yourself busy, and the other one is your brand. And your brand has its own value independently, or I don't know what you guys call it here, but goodwill. So let's say your company does $1 million a year, and you're making $300,000. I mean, standard idea of that, you do $300,000 worth of profit. If you're going to go sell your business, the buyer or the venture capital company is going to go, they're going to start at 3 times earnings. So they're going to go, yep, I'm going to give you $900,000 for your $1 million business.
Sure.
The brand they'll give independently. I mean, have you ever read any papers on Nike? Even if they would,
Yeah.
Or Motorola, let's pick Motorola. Motorola went bankrupt. You know, they sold the brand Motorola for over $1 billion after bankruptcy.
Just
Just the brand.
Yeah.
Because that flag flies its own ship. So whenever we do trade shows, I always tell my staff, this is about investing into the brand, not investing into operational revenue.
Sure.
And sales and operational revenue are completely independent from driving a brand. So I push all, so go back to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I push all my staff, the primary staff that work in the head office, about 100 of us. I push all of them to post on LinkedIn every day, from the truck driver to the CFO. Everybody posts on LinkedIn every single day.
And what surprised me about that is I'd never heard it. And I don't even think glazing contractors are thinking about that. Should they be?
Okay. It's an exit strategy, and it's a long game exit strategy, because building Kleenex, or building Tide, it's a long haul. Like it's not an overnight thing. So if I was opening up a glass company, I would put a lot of effort into my brand independently, and know that it's two separate avenues. It's two separate veins of business. Brand is what's going to give you retirement. The operational revenue, listen, 3 times earnings.
Yeah.
I've been offered that over the years, and you're like, what am I going to do with that?
Right.
Right. Because I still got to live.
What am I going to do 3 years after that?
What am I going to do 3 years after that?
Right.
So you go, okay, I need to fix this, but the brand will give extra revenue. I had and I can't tell you who it was, but I had a company come to me 15 years ago and told me they wanted to buy my company for millions, and they were going to shut it down and just keep the brand and the phone number and merge it into theirs.
Sure.
Because it would phone ring and the brand would be identified.
So you received an offer strictly on your brand.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit about my revenue.
So a glazing contractor now, maybe they're listening to this, brand has never been on there. It's never even touched their brain.
It usually doesn't.
Where do they start? Like, how do you start building your brand separate from your operations?
Okay, so most guys only look at the brand when they're going to go sell the damn thing. They're not looking at it, in the heat of battle,
right?
Day to day, trying to put in door lights or put up curtain wall. They're just not,
they're doing day to day.
Between the invoicing, the quoting, the estimating, the project management, the ordering, the giving shit to the guys, whatever it is, it's just too hard. But if you, usually most people don't look at brand until they're about to exit or they want to exit. And then they realize that calling themselves, Tim's Glass, and the whole business is wrapped around me, doesn't make me money, because I leave and the whole thing dies.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Tim's Glass, or Byrne Glass, right? My dad named his glass company Byrne Glass, and I was like, yeah, that's a waste. Ironically, it isn't. My family said, so I have 3 siblings. I have 4 siblings, but 3 of us were all partners in the glass business.
Yeah.
And we all left and went on our own.
Yeah.
So Toronto in itself, probably 20% of the Toronto market is in my family's name in service, because of my brothers and my brother-in-law. My 2 brothers and my brother-in-law and me. This is 4.
They're different companies now.
We all left, and we all fight against each other, like awful family business fights. But we control a huge percentage of the service business in Toronto. Yeah.
So how does that glazing contractor, like, maybe what's a step 1 for them to start that brand process in an early enough fashion that it's not the year they want to retire?
I would just associate it with you and your name and you. I mean, your end goal, if you're going to run your own business, is to get yourself out of your business.
Sure.
As long as you're in your business working, your business isn't worth shit.
So it needs to go to the company name or the company image as opposed to
you,
Tim.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to be prepared to leave your company and let it operate on its own. You make that decision first. That's your goal. And then from today to not working in the company anymore, I have to build a brand inside of here. By the way, the brand isn't just for selling. The brand is also staff retention.
Sure.
All our guys, so we have pink trucks and pink camouflage trucks everywhere.
Yeah.
And the guys all wear pink uniforms.
Okay.
And they refer to themselves as the Pink Army.
Okay.
And you remember the little green army men when we were kids and we light on fire with magnifying glasses? Well, we have pink ones. And the guys, every time they do a service call, put in work, put up a wall, they'll shove them in the tubes, they'll put them in the headers, they'll put them in the automatics. And there's pink army men everywhere, all over Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Vancouver, and Calgary.
Okay.
And we buy thousands, tens of thousands of them and hand them out. They come in with bags.
Yeah.
And the guys litter them everywhere.
Like hidden or
sometimes in planters, on the headers of the doors, inside the automatic door box, inside the revolving door.
And people that have used your business more than once now identify this.
There's pink army men everywhere.
And it's just something that stays in the brain.
Right.
So
it takes a lot of cultural effort though to to build the brand internally and externally. It's not a single marketing source. It's also a mindset too, right? You have to be prepared to have the culture develop on its own.
Okay.
They came up with the Pink Army. My guys did. They, once it started rolling,
you went with it.
The guys started making it happen. Right? Not me.
So your company, and I might butcher this, you're going to correct me. Stadia is you do more than service glass and contract glazing. You're into some other things as well. Is it all under the Stadia?
No.
Okay. It's multiple different
companies.
Okay. So what else are you doing besides service glass and contract glazing?
We build work order management software for the last 20 years that we're trying to bring to market over the next 2 or 3. And it's specifically for companies under $5 million.
Bookmark real quick. What is it called?
The software?
It's book man.
The software is called Wendy.
Okay.
WHEND, but it's for work order management.
Work
for companies
order management.
for trades
Right.
under $5 million.
What is work order management?
Everything from writing quotes to going to site and actually having a work order exchange. People sign off on it, to writing purchase orders and then final invoice.
So what does the software do with all those items?
The key to the software, by the way, is so that so there's a whole bunch of pieces, and not to drive down that rabbit hole too far. But the real concept was that you don't have to write. So way back before AI was ever developed, I started working on, I'll give you an example. So you used an extension cord.
Yeah.
You'd pick in a picture of an extension cord.
Okay.
Used a hammer drill. You'd pick a picture of a hammer drill. You used a quarter 20 cadmium plated pressure plate screws. You'd pick that picture, like a Home Depot catalog.
Yeah.
But those pictures would develop a scope of work that was written inside the work order, so the guys didn't have to write shit.
Yeah.
There you go. I used a screwdriver. I used a drill.
So anyone that's used a AI text to art, this is actually backwards. You're taking pictures and then it's giving you the text.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, because none of my guys wanted to write, I could barely get them to fill out.
You send me out on a service order. I used a ladder. I used sealant. I used these.
Dow Corning this and
I don't write a thing down. I take pictures. Your software writes it into a work order that you can then deliver to that customer.
Correct.
Okay.
By email, on-site, GPS.
Okay. So you've now developed that into a software that other trades can use.
Yeah, plumbers, electricians, everybody. Okay. And it's typically it's for the guy in the truck who doesn't. So the second piece of Wendy is that Wendy nags you to do your work.
Why is it called Wendy?
When, and it's a database.
Okay.
Right? So it became Wendy.
Okay.
That said, I always wanted an assistant back when the company was little, and I couldn't afford it. Okay. So I started building software to be my assistant, and I built tools inside of her. And that's what they. By the way, the staff, whenever they get in trouble by her, they refer to it as a Wendy headlock. And you put it in your head, right? Because she will. If you don't do your work order on site right now, within 24 hours of you not doing it, you lock out all 200 staff.
Okay.
The whole system walks out and goes, "Hey Tim, you didn't do your work order, and the entire company's now locked out until you do it."
So employees clocked in somehow virtually, and then they have to interact with that on a certain amount of time based on where they went.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you don't interact with it, it will lock the entire company out, and the entire company knows it was you who's stalling the process.
Okay.
I was sick and tired of telling guys, "Hey, can you fill out that work order? Hey, the customer asked for that quote. Did you order that glass?"
So it's the program not only accomplishes their work order, but it also keeps them on pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and every time they said, so they don't even know this. Every time, they're not doing it right now. Every time they interact with it, depending on where they are in the system, without their knowledge, it automatically tells the client what they're doing.
Okay.
So it tells the client they're about to order the material.
Okay.
It tells the client they're about to be on site. Independent, they don't even know what's happening.
Okay. So how does your client, are they logged into it somehow too?
Like
an email?
Yeah, their cell phone or email, whatever it is. But they're constantly getting, my staff don't realize it, but they're constantly getting notices because
They didn't realize it.
Yeah, they didn't realize it right now because they're all watching this sooner or later, so they all know. Because it was funny because they get calls and go, "Hey, how did John know we were coming to site?" Well, John got a text because you went into Wendy and touched her. Yeah. And she automatically tells everybody, there's an involved page. So it tells everybody who's involved in that job that this is what's happening. Even ordering materials. You read the purchase order, it tells everybody.
I appreciate you explaining that, but I did gloss over the service glass and the contract glazing a little. Those aren't small outfits.
No, we have, no, we are small. I mean, we're not a big company.
How many service trucks?
We have 15, 20.
Okay. How
And
did
then
you,
a bunch of others that do the contract side.
you started as an installer? You now own multiple companies,
Yeah.
successful companies. You've received $1 million brand offers.
Yeah.
What was it, a push up a day? What was it that pushed you through that to reach success?
See, now I'm going to sound like a capitalist, right? It's going to be bad.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing. Actually, there is nothing wrong with that, even though we've all made that kind of a bad thing in today's environment. Listen, I think the best thing you can do to find wealth is to be poor. I don't believe in raising minimum wage. I don't believe in handouts. I believe you sweat it out, you starve a little bit, and then you get your fucking fat ass off that couch and go do your job. And you'll do it 12 hours a day. Because when I was living in that shitty basement apartment, I did not want to be there. When I only had $700 in my pocket, I did not want to be there. I quit high school when I was 15. My dad goes bankrupt when he's 19. We're all out of a job. We're standing around picking our ass. I'm like, I can't do this. I got to go do something. I barely had rent for the next month. Sold my car, bought a truck because we lost all the trucks to my dad. And I was like, I was on, I guess, our version of welfare, collecting unemployment money, right?
Sure.
And like with a kid and a girlfriend pregnant, I'm like, well, I got to fucking do something. I don't believe that handouts. I just don't believe it. And I know socialism says there's a different route and we should be giving people bare minimum. The other thing is that I think you need to have a destination. And even if you never make that destination, get on that journey. Because if you don't have a destination, so if you sit on your couch and go, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Fucking do anything. Shovel driveways. I don't care.
moving.
Have a destination. Say, I'm going to own a landscaping company, but head that way.
Sure.
But I think too many people sit around waiting for somebody else to hand it to you, somebody else to give you the raise.
Well, I would agree that you move in that direction. If something takes you somewhere else, you can do that.
Yeah, let's go.
But
Right?
you're moving.
Right.
You're moving forward.
Yeah.
An object at rest stays at rest.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropped out of high school. I've talked on this podcast multiple times about college. I went to college,
Okay.
but the way I went to college was more just, it was what my parents thought was next. It was what most of my friends thought was next. And I really didn't go with that destination. I don't necessarily regret going to college, but my boys who are now 6 and 8, they're really going to have to convince me why if they do want to go to college. What are your thoughts on the college education system? I mean, obviously you did not need it.
My sister,
Where does it fall? Where does it fit?
my sister's a superior court judge or a state judge. Like my sister's got education at her wazoo. She's 7 years old. And my other brother has 2 university degrees. My other brother went to college. And I was 6 years younger than the youngest and sitting there with my mom at 15. So I cannot go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mama's boy, by the way. I said, I can't do it. I hate it. I didn't want to go. But time, so I opened my first business when I was 19, 20. By the time I was 24 and my friends were all graduating, I'm 23, 24. I had friends that had 80,000 back then, debt, asking me for a job.
Yeah.
So if your boys, if you had a choice between putting away $80,000 to go buy a house
Yeah.
or $80,000 to be in debt at 23,
Yeah.
I tell you to go buy a fucking house.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't, unless you're going for a lawyer, a doctor, and
So that used to be my line, lawyer or doctor, until ChatGPT passed the
okay.
bar.
So I was just about to walk down that,
And now I don't know if you even need to go to be a lawyer.
No, see, I think that the other thing that's going to happen here is that anything that is process orientated is going to die. Any job, any career that's process orientated is going to die. Legal stuff, all going to die. Accounting, all going to die. These jobs are eliminated. They're gone. Anything that you're doing on a daily basis with your brain that's process driven, it's finished in the next 10 years. The 3 things you're going to need if you want to be a huge success is you're going to need intellectual curiosity. That's having a podcast and asking a lot of shitty questions. Some guy put him in an awkward position.
Sure.
You're going to need intellectual curiosity. You're going to need emotional maturity, and you're going to need intuitive intelligence. You put those 3 together, and they all have to be equal. You can't have one stronger than the other.
How do you define intuitive intelligence? What is that?
Well, after you've been hit in the head with a 2x4 many times, you can actually smell the wood coming. You know when to duck. So I think intuitiveness comes with time. because you have to get hit in the head a few times before you know to duck.
Okay.
Where the punches are coming from. I think intuitive intelligence is down the same vein as wisdom.
Okay.
You can be super smart at 24, but have no wisdom, right? So intuitiveness and wisdom are kind of hand in hand in that journey.
So if you were looking for a degree in a process-oriented type job right now, you would have low intuitive intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing. So you take those three elements: intellectual curiosity, emotional maturity or independence, and intuitiveness, and you bundle those. What the schools now have missed the boat on an educational level is that nobody's taught anybody how to cope. So the whole concept was that you were put under pressure for exams, but now you don't fail, right? That you were put under pressure to lose a baseball game, but now you don't lose, or a soccer game, but now you just don't lose. Everybody gets a fucking trophy, right? It's a blue ribbon society. This is taking away coping skills. Now, ironically, we all complain about anxiety in our life. Anxiety is a call to fucking action. It's not a call to stand around with your thumb up your ass and cry the blues. It means that you need to stop and take a look around you and see what you need to change to make your life better. Instead, we either gouge people with pills or tell them it's okay, or make sure we blame somebody else for the responsibility of having anxiety. So schools missed the boat on teaching people how to cope. The minute you took away competitiveness, the minute you took away putting people under an intense amount of pressure, it's why Navy SEALs are Navy SEALs. They know how to cope.
Right.
They know how to cope with everything. They can cope with a gun in their face or drowning or holding their breath for 2 minutes underwater. They learned how to cope. And if the school system could broaden their psychological impact on kids or youth is to teach people how to cope and deal with anxiety. Anxiety is normal.
Yeah.
We've made it so it's not.
Yeah.
But it's fucking 100% normal to have anxiety. And we're all like, oh my God, I suffer from anxiety. No, you suffer from being a human.
And that's where you were that drove you.
Yeah.
That's what.
Triple anxiety. I was like, holy shit, how am I going to buy Kraft macaroni and cheese? And I lived on Kraft macaroni and cheese and a steamed popcorn maker for probably 2 years. Right?
Yeah.
I was paying guys my credit card. I was pulling up the ATM machines, getting money out to pay them.
Yeah.
And I was making shit nothing, waiting for customers to pay in 90 days. And every customer tells you they're paying 30. They're all liars. Everyone. They all lie. They're all paying 75, 80, 90 days. I don't care who you are.
You worked with brothers, sister.
I didn't work with my sister,
Okay.
but I worked with my brothers.
And then you all divided.
Yeah. In anger.
So on that point, someone that is considering working with family, what's your advice to that person? How do you make it work if you can make it work?
You can make it work. I think everybody has to decide that there's only going to be one king. I'm using that because I'm a guy, if queen, if you're female.
Sure.
I think you have to decide there's going to be one ruler. It's not a democracy. Corporations are not a democracy. It's a fiefdom, it's a kingdom, and there's only one king. And I think that you have to make that decision first and foremost. The second one is that you have to have, for all partnerships, this isn't just family, you have to have an exit strategy. It's really, really easy to get a girl pregnant. It's not really easy to get a divorce, right? So getting married is fun. Getting divorced is shitty. So worry about the divorce side. So on the other side of this, I would set up a partnership agreement that has an exit strategy. And I would also set up a partnership that has to be renewed every 7 years. Things change in people's lives.
Sure.
And I think and the problem with family too is why it gets into a massive turmoil is because there was no exit strategy. There was no moment where you go, yeah, in 7 years, we get to sit down at this table and I get to go, yeah, I'm not happy. You don't have a chance to do that. See, and everybody thinks it's just a life. It's a marriage. When you're in a family business, it's a fucking marriage.
Yeah.
Forever. And it's not. And it might not be. And it might not change in transition to generation. So you need to have, I would tell anybody, make sure you have an exit plan, shotgun agreements, buyouts, how to establish credit, payment terms, but then also have renewals at, 5, pick your time.
Sure. Yeah.
Have a renewal process so everybody has to come to the table and renew it.
Outlining these corporate items that probably a lot of family members want to close their eyes and just, we're family, we're going to be good.
And dad goes, just show up and work, grab a broom. There's time to lean, there's time to clean.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a standard line. And we don't, and especially as young kids, you don't even think about it. You're like, no, I got a broom. Right? I'm going to be a glass guy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it ends up evolving. But if you're the old man, I'd tell you, sit down with your kids and go, I want you to be part of the business. There's going to be an evolution, a shared transition I don't know how that looks, but we're going to do this in 5 or 7 year increments.
Yeah.
And then it's just like a will. I mean, you have wills with your wives, right? And you go, let's look at this every 5 years and rewrite it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want this to turn into a disaster when I'm gone. So I think exit strategy is probably the key component when you're dealing with actually with any partnership. Guys come to me all the time, I want to be a partner. I'm like, exit strategy, right?
I think I missed a point that I want to get your insight on, because I think it's important. You started. We kind of got the reason why you started. You're broke. You've got the anxiety. Yeah. But at some point, something flipped. Because at some point you're getting money out of the ATM to pay people, and at some point you're getting $1 million offers. What's the turning point? Was it just a constant evolution? Was there one major moment? Or what direction? I mean, how could you break that down into advice for someone? Is it grinding? Was it one particular thing that you did?
Well, I think opportunities are created. I don't think opportunities are given. Luck is manufactured.
Right.
So
I was thinking that exact thing. I'm sure there was a level of luck, but luck is not just.
But luck's manufactured.
Correct.
Right? I mean, you got to show up to the game if you're going to win, right?
Luck is a product of preparation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you're right. The routine every day. I would tell everybody to you're 7 days a week, and if you think you're going to be any less than that, you're lying to yourself. I would tell that to everybody though. To get life balance, you need to actually work 7 days a week. You can't do it in 5 and just go, it's Friday night, I'm done. Grab the case of beer, it's all over, right? Yeah. Grab a 2-4 beer, which you guys have no idea what a 2-4 is, but it's 24 beer.
Okay.
We just call it a 2-4.
Yeah, we would call that a case.
Call it
yeah.
2-4.
Yeah,
it's 2-4. You go get a 2-4 from the store, right?
Fair enough.
But I don't think that can happen if you want to be a success. I think you need to know it's 7 days a week. And I think you need to manage it so that it doesn't overwhelm you. But don't think that it's Friday night, it's quits, and Monday morning at 6 a.m. it starts again. It isn't like that. So I think that routine is necessary. I think everybody needs to know how to sell. And I don't want to be rude. I don't think our clients actually give a flying fuck what we install. Was it a spec? Yeah. Did the architect say, the consultant say it was okay? Yeah, good.
Did I have to come out here for 5 callbacks?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if my clients actually know what we do. Like, intimately, I mean, they saw a piece of glass go in.
Yeah.
But all the rest, I mean, they don't know that we use the right silicone or the right durometer setting block, or was it EPDM gaskets? They have no clue. They don't give a shit. So I think as for anybody who wants to be a success, you better be able to communicate. And I use the word sales to start that sentence, but really the truth is you need to know how to articulate a clear message, have a good vernacular, and be able to stand up in front of a crowd and talk. And if you can't stand up in front of a crowd and talk, and if you can't communicate well, like we're doing right here.
Well, that's part of sales. There's another part of sales that is like it's like the car salesman, like that. But actual sales, I think, is what you're describing.
Yeah, it's funny too, because sales. So we're going to head down another rabbit hole. But salespeople end up doing used car sales. I have this problem in my place all the time. I'm like, guys, throw out the schmarmy, icky pitch. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Talk to your customer like they're a human. And if you're not doing the right thing, just tell them you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I got guys all the time. Tim, I just want you to screw some Roton hinges on this door, some continuous hinge on this door. I'm like, listen, John, the door's fucked.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend $800 doing this, but it's still a fucked door.
Right.
So I'm not sure why we're fixing it. Right. We're wasting our money. I'm okay telling that.
Yeah.
But a lot of salespeople don't. Like, that would just make that go away. We'll put that hinge on there.
Right away, sir. But what you're doing is actually helping them better in the long term, as opposed to them wasting $800 on the hinges. You're educating them, and you're getting them to a better final destination.
And I think you're managing your liability. You're mitigating. You're mitigating your liability, because at least if you told the client the truth, and when it falls off the next week, or the glass top's all buckled because the weld's all broken, they do one of these.
And if you just go out and fix it now, then you're not going to go back and fix those Roton hinges you put on 2 months later.
Well, I'm pretty sure most other industries are similar. In our industry, if you touch the MS lock, if you touch fucking one glass stop, you own the whole damn door.
Yeah.
You click back on the glass stop, and it's like, oh, the pivot's now wet. Your guys were here yesterday, and you're like, touch the pivots, right? I mean, you end up.
All I did was take photos, man.
Right. So you end up, if you don't end up being truthful with them from the get-go, they will give you pushback anyway. So not only are you being honest and tell them the truth, which is great in itself.
Yeah.
You're mitigating your liabilities. and you're putting them at a position where they can't call back and jam the whole thing down your throat.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? Because that's what they're going to do, because they don't want to spend any more money tomorrow, and they want to blame somebody for something. So you end up on the whole thing, right?
Tim, you can say that it is or that it isn't, but GlassBuild, you're here.
Yeah.
Why is GlassBuild or trade shows in general important for our industry?
That's a good question. I think trade shows are probably more important for the camaraderie and the collection of humans to come together as one than it is about the product that they're demonstrating. And not that that isn't great fun. I like walking around all those big machines and all that stuff. That stuff to me rocks my world.
Yeah.
But it's secondary to the relationships you create. I have 2 or 3 trade shows that I go to all the time. By the way, this is the first time I've ever come to this one.
Okay.
My old man
GlassBuild.
used to go to Dusseldorf all the time.
Okay.
Like every year was in Dusseldorf doing the glass show, because the Dusseldorf glass show, which I'm going to go to next year, supposedly is like the behemoth of all glass shows. But I think it's a camaraderie. I think most industries are a small, unique group, and whether you like it or not, you need to know your competitors. You need to know what they do, how they operate. You need to know what kind of scotch they drink. Then you need to know all the players in and around it. And they need to be friends, because at the end of the day on a Sunday night when your machine goes down or the glass breaks, you need to be able to pick up your fucking phone and make something happen that was never supposed to happen. And you can't, all the AI in the world, you still need somebody to pick up the phone on the other end, because the humans are what are doing, regardless of AI, humans still got to make it happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's camaraderie more than it is than the products.
Well, I'm glad you came. It was a pleasure meeting you, man.
Pleasure.
Sorry we kept you waiting for a few minutes.
I left you waiting because of that damn airport. I'm sorry about that this morning. I apologize.
No worries, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Appreciate you.